Greetings, everyone, once again. Let's see if it works. Give it a second. And sorry, it's probably... I'm just looking on my end to make sure it's that. There we go. There I am. Hello. All right, so welcome to the February 2025 developer update stream for Circle of Orion. So let me explain a little bit how this is going to go down. It was scheduled to start at 1 o'clock. That's what's going to happen. These first 10 minutes are going to be sort of a pre-stream. In cases where I get questions from people, this will be one of the points where I answer them. Or we kind of just give time for more people to get in, do any sort of a pre-stream work, answering questions, interacting with people. Then once we hit 1 o'clock, exactly, at least where I am, so in 10 minutes, or 9 minutes now, we're going to start the actual update. I'm going to go for about 30 minutes, going over kind of what's going on with the project currently. Stuff I want to talk about that I think is relevant. Then once we hit 30 minutes, we'll stop that part of the stream and transition to basically similar to what we are now, sort of a 5-10 minute, maybe at most 15 outro. Depends on how many people we have and stuff. Outro where we, I don't know, answer more questions, talk with you guys, and once all that's done, we will get out of here. So this may end up being a replacement for devlogs long term, because devlogs take a lot of work and time that I don't have generally right now, which is why you haven't really gotten any in almost a year. It's pretty much right now I'm trying this out just to see how this goes. So I'm going to try to be, I won't be answering questions and stuff during the actual update, because I want to be speedy and get through stuff as efficiently as I can. That'll be for, now or after, if you want to send anything in. But, so yeah, that's what we're going to try out this month. I may try out another one. I've got one scheduled for next month. We'll see how things go. And if that works out, then this will probably be, at least for right now, the new format of devlogs and updates. So yeah, that's how we're going. Who I got in the chat with me today? Who I got watching? I'm very curious to know. Yeah, one way or another, I'll be just hanging here until we hit the hour, and then we're gonna go. Meantime, I'm doing some preliminary work. I believe I have everything that I want to show. I believe everything I want to show is ready, that I had time for is ready. Obviously, there's... I got a ton of work to still do. But I guess the first thing is, the project is very much still alive. Obviously, my time is split between a few things right now, but I am still working on Circle of Orion. I'm getting a little back into the groove of it because, obviously, December was basically a break month, and the January was a slow getting back into things. But a lot of work's gone into Omega and Omega Game Framework, and that's probably most of the actual updates. Has been updates to that. So, but I got some things to show, just because it's been so long since the last devlog. Warm up. Oh, I have a root beer I want to get. I will also, this is not totally impromptu, but I didn't have a super time to set everything up in basically just a few days ago. I decided, I'm going to do this. It's best I just do it now, and set it up now and then commit to it. But I will be, I'm planning on doing a poll on my Discord. So if you're not there and you want to vote on it, I'm planning on doing a poll over basically when would be the best time to stream that for people who want to watch. What day of the first do probably what day of the week, and then what time of day would work best for people. Because there's also a lot of other streamers who go who do dev streams and stuff. So, which is also why I want to keep these short. But also, yeah, when I can get as many people in as I want. And since they were kind of a devlog thing, they will be a VOD of it, so you can look through afterwards as well. Butterscotch root beer. I got a whole set, I think, of 8 nice premium root beers for Christmas, and I'm just finishing up my last one right now, which is a butterscotch, an Oso butterscotch root beer. That'd be a great avatar item, actually. Just like put a root beer in my hand, or if I had hands. So, all right, 4 minutes, and we'll jump in. I want to wait till 1 o'clock just so in the VOD people can be looking at this and know exactly when to jump for the actual devlog to start. So I don't want to jump in before that, but I'll make a reminder update on the live. Pre-stream is live, starting the dev update in 5 minutes. Do. I wonder. Now I'll hold off on that for now. Floating head, I don't know what you're talking about. You used to like this game. What is... Whoa, that was close. I almost knocked my root beer off my standing desk. And what does your username mean? What do you mean you used to like this game? But it's good. Thank you for coming. Is this the first time you've been here? I'm trying to remember if you've been at any of the other streams, but thank you for coming. 2 minutes and we'll be starting. I should have a countdown, on here. I'm gonna make a note of that. For in fact, let me check OBS and see if I can do a countdown. No, wait, I got an idea. Let's jerry rig something right now. Timer. This is a terrible, terrible idea. But alarm timer. 1 minute. Cancel. Come on. Full screen it. I'm curious what game it is referring to. But hey, then thanks for coming back. I'm not quite at 1 minute. Okay, so I still have time to do this. Let's see. Duplicate. Just V plus timer. And let's see if I can add a media source. No, we want to add a application audio capture. Oh, that's a beta. Video capture, window capture, clock, which will be, where is it? Blender, VC, blah 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 blah. The heck? It doesn't have the clock. It doesn't let me have that? Well, that's lame. Whatever. We'll start in a minute. Like literally 1 minute. So I'll start the countdown now. And then I'll figure out by next stream how to have a proper countdown on the screen. So when people pop in, they know, okay, we're actually pre-stream stuff. All right, we are. You know what? 1 o'clock for me. So, where are we? Oh, let me. Oh crap! What did I just do? Let me shrink that. All right, let's begin. It's 1 o'clock. Okay, so, and Let me pull up my notes. So, what's been going on? Well, I talked about that a little bit, but short version, still working on the project. I am working also on another... Oh, yes, I know. Go away. I'm working on No More Academy with Ink Rose. It's the next game in the Flutterstar universe. For those who don't know, that is a series we've been working on for a little bit. It's a sort of a sci-fi fantasy universe. Our previous game was The Fantastic Kitty Roo. This is the second game. Technically third if you consider the demo for Mariposa and the Galaxy Man, but as we didn't finish that game, this is the second game in the Flutterstar universe. No More Academy is. That's mainly what I'm working on, but I still have some time for Circle of Orion. So, been almost a year since the last devlog, and man, it's one of those where there's too much to go over. But so the majority of what you're looking at right now, this is the basic main testing environment I have for different mechanics. So let's run around a bit while I talk about what the heck is going on. So, we'll wait for this to load, and we'll even do kind of a full screen. So, Sorry, I forgot what I was going to say. Okay, I guess the biggest milestone hit is that I have a trigger pass of the entire game done. What does that mean? Well, the trigger pass, as I believe I've talked about, is essentially you can start the game and run through and trigger every single event all the way up to the end. So you can technically start the game and run through all the way to the end of the game. This means I have every map technically in the game. I'd say about 80-85% in a MVP finished state, minimum viable product, where like if I had to absolutely release the game, they are about 80% the way to a state where they could be released at minimum acceptability. Now that's obviously not anywhere near where I would want it, but like if I had to, that's where I'm at. Alongside of that, the script, I would say the full outline of the script is done. The first draft of the script is probably about 65 to 70% done. And I will be that'll be the MVP as well. Once that's in, then I will be working on redrafting as needed. But that's sort of the overall progress of the content of the game. So in the test environment, I'll show off a couple of... Well, first thing you might notice is the new character model for Ellen. I believe I've showed this in some clips, but I've never talked about this. This is courtesy of amazing character artist and modeler Ink Rose. Oh, well, the character design, it was actually done by a friend of mine named on Twitter, Saya of the Abyss, or maybe it's Saya of Abyss. But anyway, he did the initial character design based on some like sketches and concepts I had. Turned out really well, and then the jumping animation is broken. But then Ink Rose did the modeling. I'm testing out some physics simulation using Kawaii physics. It's not perfect, as you can see, but it's at least some basic stuff. We can try and get a close up of her. Yeah. So that's the only character model that's probably like close to a final state. The rest of them are still in the prototype V-Roid state, and I realized her field attack is broken as well because I clicked on it and pulled out her sword. T-pose jumping. I agree. That would be great, but alas, that can't be in the final version. But yeah, her attack is broken because she pulled out her sword. Yeah, a lot of stuff's broken right now. So that's one thing. I'm actually gonna hit exit and start again. Probably the next big update is some of you might hate me for this. So I know I made a big kind of deal in the last few devlogs about moving over to using Lua for scripting. Well, I have given up on that venture, and I've moved back to basically doing everything in engine with data assets and flow assets. And the short reason is, while, yeah, theoretically, using external tools can be better for maintaining your code long-term and not relying on an engine in case something happens, the trade-off is it also greatly bloats your development time. Because now you have to... The amount of time you have to take to make those tools integrate with your engine, make sure that they consistently work across your engine when you don't have, like, a nice editor, and to make sure there are no, like, to reduce bugs and debug bugs when they come up, is a lot harder because it's not using the tools built in editor that are designed for that. So by moving to back to using primarily data assets, which I'll show off in a second, and interfaces and things like. Oh, great! Her swimming animation's broken. So I was gonna show off the swimming capabilities as well. I guess before I do more stuff, I'll finish up what I was saying. By switching back to using data assets and the flow assets for dialogue that are built into a Mega Game framework, it has greatly increased the development process, the speed of development. That, and I've sort of instead of doing the write tools externally and then import that data in, or write data and code externally and import it in, I'm instead gonna try to do it backwards, where if I need to pull data from the game for whatever reason, I'm instead going to write tools that convert the data from like the data assets or the flow assets or the blueprints or whatever, and extract that as a JSON file if and when I need it. So that is my current plan. Hopefully I won't end up needing it, but that is accelerated primarily my development on contract projects and on More Academy. I haven't had as much time to try it out in Circle of Orion, but I am moving in that direction. So while we're working on the testing environment, let's show off a few things. So yeah, there is supposed to be a swimming animation for her, but I guess it's broken, so I can't show off. You can see the splash when we land in the water. It's very basic. It is basically what is happening in the swimming is you're walking around, but it changes the animation to look like you're swimming. Climbing, which I've shown up before, and that's broken too. Everything's broken. In fact, I believe her animations are scaling her wrong. But so yeah, I actually haven't jumped in the project in a little bit, but mechanically they're working. Just the animations are not. Let me run over and test. We got the rest station, which you have to use. More broken stuff. It's supposed to there show you how much. Well, it does show you Dawnstones, but it doesn't show how many you have. Which are Dawnstones are used to revive, and they're kind of like tents in Final Fantasy. You use them at save points to restore EMP. In this case, I don't have any, so. And apparently I made a mistake on the flow graph there where it didn't exit out. Chests. Yeah. Let's open up the menu. Placeholder art. So no one freak out. This is not going to be in the final game. If I go to items. Yeah, they shoot. Oops, there. So skills. I think I can talk about character progression. It's not under skills, is it? Characters, jobs. Okay, so job system. Mentioned this before. Here's how character progression works right now. Basically, everything has now been refunneled into the job system. In fact, no, yeah, I'll show this off. I'll show this off now. Excuse me. Before I had grimoires and jobs, and I had this complex thing. Basically, now what I've been kind of doing the last few months on top of moving data assets is I'm trying to streamline a lot of the systems in the game to just say, you know what, this is taking too long. I need to focus on something that's actually finishable. So I have not only streamlined the development process by using in-engine tools, I'm also streamlining character progression and combat. And I'll get to combat in a little bit. But first thing is here, there's supposed to be a character model here, but whatever, we won't worry about that. I mean, you have standard equipment. Grimoires, instead of being something you level up, hang on, are they here? Nope. Let me put some. Do I have any grimoires? I don't actually remember if I've made data assets for those yet. Grim. Let's delete that. And see. Okay, so grimoires now are just equipable items that grant you whatever skills come with that ability. So if I do this one, I equip this. Well, it's not doing it right now, but I think maybe I haven't added this skill. Let me try the fire one instead. It should give me the ability to use basically level 1 fire spells. That is a way to get some extra Grim. To get some extra abilities, because your main abilities pretty much all come from the job system. And I might not even call it job system because that's a little misleading. Whatever. Basically, so it's kind of more of a progression tree, a linear progression tree system. But yeah, jobs. Everything goes here, including magic now, not just magic is not through grimoires, it's through everything. Each different character and a bug. 1 second. Next. Ignore that bug and keep Oh, you turd muffin. Okay, come on. Don't do... Okay, so we may have just had a crash. We'll do one more try, and if it doesn't work... Okay. Crap. Get object icon. Where's the problem? Alright, I'm going to ignore this for right now and just reload. Reload this, and I will work on that later. To kind of finish the thought, so yeah, basically, as you level up, you'll get ability points you can spend on to unlock abilities from any of your unlocked classes. Or jobs, I should say. The jobs are a combination of universal, like each character will be, I think it's warrior, guardian, rogue, or mage. Each one of your party members will have one of those. They'll have an elemental job, earth, fire, wind, water, which is how they get their magic spells. And then they'll have a job that is personal, at least one job that's personal to them. And I do have ideas for quests or whatever that'll get you more jobs later on to add an extra level of customization. But yeah, most of the character progression is just, as you get ability points, what abilities do I want to buy? And there are both active and passive abilities, so some you'll use in combat, some you will use that will just passively affect your character. And we'll now wait for the debug to finish. What is it doing? Why is it taking so long? Oh, right, it had to rebuild. It had to rebuild a bug with the thing, and I may have just screwed something up. Hang on. I realize I may have just made a. Well, if I need to deal with it, I will. Okay, we're at 10 minutes in. I guess. Yeah, I think I can cover everything else in about 20 minutes. I might add an extra minute or two, depending on how long this takes to load up. I also have been trying to work on clearing code and optimization so it doesn't take too long to load, and because everyone's worried about optimization in Unreal games now, understandably. But yeah. Fortunately, the style of my game means it's not as demanding in the same way that, Black Myth Wukong is, so hopefully it shouldn't be as difficult to optimize. I might have to cut this part out of the VOD. I don't know. We'll see. How's your day going, fellas? All right, here we go. We are back live in a second. Possibly. It'll probably throw me a debug error, but that's fine. I can work with that. Preparing construction scripts. Of course you are. I'll show you why that might be taking a while in a minute. But anyway, back to where we are at. Though I guess it's all to really show how jobs work. All right. So I have upgraded to Unreal 5.5. I was very reluctant to, but I ultimately decided it was the best option. So I could make use of the Mutables plugin. For those who don't know, the Mutables plugin is basically what my assembly plugin was supposed to be, where it is a form of modularly building a character mesh from several different pieces. And it's even better than mine. So pretty much what it's kind of become is a way of me creating character models. So like here's the one for Ellen. And what's nice is I can, do I want to show the graph? Oh yeah, we'll start with the graph, work our way forward, I guess. Show parent. The way Mutables works, you can look up all videos on this, so I'm not going to go into it. But basically, you can take a character mesh, and it breaks it up into pieces based on the material slots, because those are each a different render class, I believe. And then you can combine them together, or you can combine bits of both meshes. But for like this is the base one for the main character, Ellen. What's nice is you can turn off the cape or the skirt or things like that. So this would free me up to do things like different levels of appearance customization for the player, just like turning stuff on and off, or for whatever different point in the game. If there's a scene that makes more sense, she wouldn't have her entire outfit on. It's also nice because it solves a problem of character outlines, where instead of needing to create a separate skeletal mesh like is usually done for an inverted hull, now, as you can see on this, actually let me pull up the proper template, not temperate, temporary, the temporary skin for Matilda. You can see there's actually a character outline here, although it's probably the material I need to make it cleaner. But that is not a separate mesh. That's just, I basically took her entire character mesh. The body, is it the body here? Oh yeah, and then I just applied an outline to it. And I can choose what pieces I want. So I don't want to have to use her whole, every bit of her face too. That's wasteful. So I just grab like the parts of her body and whatever that I need. And basically turn those into an outline and crunch it down all onto the same material. And it's great because it makes working with outlines and modular elements much easier on a single character, but even more so on NPCs. And this is the main thing that it has made it very useful, is now I can very easily create lots of variations of NPCs, and with different parameters based on location. So like this would be NPCs for the First Nation regional, which has has a more limited color palette for certain or limited elements for like their hair and whatever, because it's like, well, they're inspired by more European setting. So I don't want them to have every color of the rainbow for their hair. It's going to be more browns to blondes, different head types. And I can also just, can I pull that up, go to mutables, let's duplicate that, and go to asset actions, scripted actions, randomize, a very simple one I wrote. And that gives me a randomization of that character. So it's an easy way to create lots of NPCs. Which has been great. Let's see. Just a quick question for I did say this at the start, but I know not everyone is here. I'm going to be doing questions at the end. So once we hit the 30-minute mark and I end the stream here, then I'll be answering questions. So yeah, if you want to send them in, I will get to them at in about 15, just under 15 minutes. So at 1:30 for me, but wherever you are. All right, so that's NPCs. Next up, this might be a bit, I don't know, controversial, but one second, wait for this to load. Going along the lines of having to make decisions that are perhaps not what I initially wanted, but I think are better because they will make development faster, and I know they work. I have changed the battle system once again. And by that I mean I changed it back to it is now. Hang on, give it a second. I know it's gonna work. It's not gonna crash. It's just gonna be stubborn. Okay. I need to fix that bug too. I have changed it back to being strict turn-based. And let me back up so the music doesn't get too crazy. Placeholder music, but it is good. So yes, we are back to strict turn-based combat, as we were doing before. Because the amount of extra balancing for abilities and, well, basically for everything that came from the dimensional or area-based system I was using was too much for a game of this scale for what I'm doing. It was adding additional work, so I ultimately made the decision to go with something that was simple, but I know worked. So this is a lot easier to program, a lot easier to balance, but doesn't make it automatically less fun. So I'm trying to look at some more games that handle this this stylus system, this just straight up turn-based system better. Two I'm looking at immediately are Final Fantasy X and Metaphor ReFantazio. And I mean, there's plenty of others that work as well, but those are the two come to mind for me as being like really good. So let's see if I do attack. I hate you. Bugs. But no, all the basic stuff's in. Attacks. I think I have skills. Which did that apply a? It did not. Okay, I'm gonna defend there. I think guess their attacks are broken, but that's fine. Defend again, because I want to try the taser ability so I can show off status ailments. Oh, I think I got him. I did not. Okay, one more time. If it doesn't do it this time, yeah, we will. Okay, that did not do it. It doesn't look like. Nope. Because there's supposed to be a lightning effect that pops up when the status ailment applies to them, and it didn't. Although you can see right here in the corner, status ailments or effects are working because Leo is in defense mode still. Yeah, that's. Oh, hey, she's I guess the most powerful character at this point. T-posing all over them. Although that probably hurts. In fact, I'm gonna stop that before I get in trouble. All right, so. Let me just. We'll finish up the battle to show like an entire loop. So enemy, animations there for when they die, and it works on her. And then at the end, it's not. I don't have any experience adding right now, but it's the same thing where battle results will be the same as before, where they are shown after the battle, so you don't have to. So we're less wasting time with showing the victory screen. Even though I know the victory screen is iconic, but I feel to keep pace at this point, I'm gonna avoid it and just have battle results afterwards. All right. What else do I need? Party formation menu. Minimap. Oh yeah, so this is one of the elements added in Omega Game Framework directly. Actually, is the minimap system, which is actually called Zone Entity Display, because zones are a feature in Omega, and this is a zone entity. So, by adding the zone entity component, this is Omega stuff, so I'll go over it briefly. But basically, from here, you can give a character, well, you give anything with this component a legend, which is how they appear on the map. You can give them an actor to display, and then you have basically a render target that only renders the zone display actor, which is why up there you can see in the corner, where the minimap is, you have the character icons. When I get close to the chests, they're here, the save station. So that's finally working. That was a, oh, hang on. A big old annoyance for a while. All right, that's in-game stuff. Now I want to talk about folder structure, because this is, I think the last time I was going to do a devlog, I wanted to talk about this, and I didn't. But it is so important to your project. So I think especially as a one-man team, how you organize your folder structure is one of the most important things you can understand how to do, because it's going to determine how fast you can work on your projects, and it's gonna reduce tech debt. And because it's like when you're looking for lots, especially on this scale, tons of items, tons of textures, tons of assets to be working with, you need to be able to find them quickly. So I believe I've shared this in previous streams, but I'll go over it again. In the content folder, you'll see a few things here. Most of these don't matter. In fact, most of these need to be removed. In fact, the ones that are marked as black means they need to be removed, and I haven't gotten to it yet. But I primarily keep all my game stuff in one folder. I didn't say hello to Lucid Station earlier, but hello, thank you for coming. Same with you, pew pew pew. Hello, thank you for being here. Temp. Themes. Basically, so this is the main folder for my project. It's called 0_main. It is called that because 0_ always means that this will be put at the top of the content folder because it's sorted alphabetically. So I always know my main stuff is going in here. And then any other additional like marketplace assets I add will be going in here. Though they aren't now, and I'll talk about why. Then inside of the main, I have a temp folder, which I don't need. Themes is kind of, you can kind of ignore this. This is project specific, but mainly, in fact, you can ignore these first three. Just ignore them. Pretend they're not there. The main content in my game are asset. In fact, do I need this debug material? Yeah, we're going to get rid of that. I don't need that either. The main folders are assets, blueprints, data, and maps. Assets contains all your non-data asset files, textures, audio, materials, level sequences, meshes. They all go in here. They are organized first by type, then category. So like if I go into skeletal meshes, I have characters, overworld vehicles, VROID elements, which I may want to get rid of. I don't know. Static meshes, accessories, boats, cloud. They kind of get organized by category. In fact, this stuff needs some more cleaning up. Sequences, whatever. Pretty much anything of that category will go in here with no exceptions. So like textures always go in textures, no matter what. They can never go anywhere in blueprints or data or maps or anything like that. The only exception is sometimes stuff can go in a map if it's map specific, or if you have a mesh with a texture that's only to that mesh, it can go in here. So like for characters, we go into Ellen, her textures that are just for her are here. But textures that are more universal are kept outside here. I'm going to go into, where is it? Oh, I don't have a surfaces folder. I should. Well, let me go into materials, surfaces. So like surface materials. I have a folder, under materials I have a folder called surface. These are any materials that are tileable, that can be tiled across surface. They all have, crap, sorry, I messed up my content browser. I'm going to kill you. They all go in this folder. No exceptions. I got instances, which is a little different. Stuff doesn't need to be cleaned up, but that's how it's supposed to go. Blueprints is really where it becomes important. Because previously I talked about how I keep I have a systems folder where I keep all the different game systems in with all their content. Not how I do it now. I have found that created too much confusion. In blueprints, it's very strict. Every blueprint type goes in its own folder. So gameplay systems go in a systems folder, HUDs in a HUDs folder, menus in a menus folder, and these are Unreal Engine, Omega Game Framework classes if you're confused. Menu is a specific class, HUD layer is a specific class. They go in their own folders. Same with queues, animation blueprints, widgets, and then data widgets have their own. Same thing, actors go in their own folder, and I have stuff for skins. These get broken up by context like geometry, static geometry. I have one for character, one for player. So yeah, it's a way of keeping stuff very clean and organized. That's for my assets. But the other big thing is marketplace assets, because those come in their own folders, all set up to whatever Epic allowed and the original developer wanted to use. Like for their folder hierarchy, that does not always match mine, and that gets really bloated when you start adding them all into this project. It bloats the project size. And it becomes a problem when you want to, let's say, reuse the same marketplace asset across multiple projects. It's like, well, now I have a few projects and I'm triple the size because I have it across everything. So, one of the biggest things I have done in the past, however long, is I no longer keep on. Well, one, I try to reduce my use on marketplace assets in general, but the ones I do use, I no longer keep in my content folder. This is one of the bigger things I've done. Instead, what I have done, and you can kind of see it here a little bit, I have created plugins for all my marketplace assets. Let me go to Engine and Plugins and scroll down. So, as you can see right here, and these are only the ones I have active, except for this one. This one actually needs to be cleaned up and removed. I now have, what I've done is I've created plugins for pretty much every marketplace asset that I use that are broken up in what I consider logical categories that are either by type and use case, so like Niagara, post-process, sounds, Sound M is marketplace, or by like seller or style. So if there is a seller that has a consistent style and I know I want to access their stuff, like Alex, I use a lot of his stuff. I use Entrables, I use a big one, which is, I think I called it Hoy, but the seller is actually So Stylized right here. I literally, what I'll do is I'll create these plugins and I will directly move, completely unedited, the plugins, or the marketplace content into those plugins. So yeah, like here's the Alec one, which I'm guessing some of you guys have seen. So they are just laid out as they would be, but in here. We're at 1:30 already, but I want to finish up talking about this. So so they'll go unmodified in here, unmodified, so that if I ever need to, if they do an update for the plugin and I need to re-add it, I can just delete the version I have here, add in the new version from the marketplace, and it will keep all the references the same. That's why I don't touch the references or move files around beyond moving them into the plugin now. And this way, yeah, they're shared across projects. Pretty much from then on, if I ever want to use a modified version of this, I'll either create a copy, if it's like a mesh or something, into my own project, so it's locally used, Or what I'll do is I'll create these underscored folders for modified versions. So like I have, so in here I have underscored mat. That's any materials that are like a derivative of something in here. It's like I have all those. What's a better one? Let's go to Hoi. So for materials in Hoi, I have modifications of like the materials, the water, and whatever. But again, these are kept in they're underscored and then by their type. In a similar way they are in my main folder. To differentiate them from the main content. And so again, if I ever need to replace this with a better version from the marketplace, it will keep all the references the same without breaking anything. The only real difficulty here is upgrading versions from 4.4 to 4.5. I mean, you kind of have that problem anyway, but this is still does kind of bloat your file size, but at least only bloats it once for your whole engine version rather than per project. So that's how I have helped organize my marketplace assets, which also kind of encourages me to work on the marketplace assets less, or rely on them less. Now I'm relying a lot more on custom and public domain assets that are modified. All right, so we have hit 130. Where is the stream? All right, so yeah, we've hit 130. That'll for the update. That's all. Now we're gonna go into post stream. And if any of you have questions, we're basically gonna go to at least. For me, it'll be 140, so about another 8 minutes, maybe another 13. But I'll answer any questions you guys have, and that'll be it for this stream. And like I said at the start, for anyone who missed it, I'm going to be... One second. I've got some messages. All right, so I am going to try and do another one of these next month. I will put up a poll of what day and time works best for everyone. But all right, so let me run through these. So Zach Jackson says, "Would you need a music composer for this project? Been wanting to work on with a developer on a fantasy soundtrack." So let me actually go ahead and click on your channel. I am not looking for composers just yet, but I am, as I work on the game, basically compiling a list of people I find or people who request who are interested. So when it does come time, I'll actually put you down on that list, and when it does come time to look for composers, I'm not going to promise anything because I don't know. But that's when I'll be contacting them as later on in development, and I will put your name at least on the list as a consideration. So, yeah, where are the here we go. But thanks for asking. Lucid Station says, that's a great workflow. I'm doing the same thing. That way I also know what custom assets I have that are based on existing plugins. Not trying to forget to credit someone. That's another good point. Is especially when I think for me it's more of an issue with public domain stuff, which you don't need to credit, but I like to, just because it is nice. You know, everyone knows Kenny's stuff, but like people like him. It's nice to at least say give him I think it's going to give him a thanks when they put that much effort into making stuff completely free. So, but yeah, that's a good point. It's easier to credit someone when you know exactly where everything is. 1 second. Yeah, the only downside to that is it depends on how many of those assets or plugins you're using, but it can increase the amount of assets that need to be scanned when your project loads. So I'd still kind of say don't use more than you need to. And I kind of am more getting into the mindset of moving away from using marketplace assets as much as I can. I'll try, basically where I'm at now is like audio files I'm fine using. Niagara particles I use now because I have no experience in really making anything good there, so I'll use those freely. But for like, and to an extent, character meshes. But I guess beyond that, anything that's like that has a lot of a consistent style from like a single dev, I am open to using, because so like stuff from Enhance or from Alex, I call him because I forget how to pronounce his full name, or from So Stylized are kind of the three I use because there's a lot of assets from them and they are consistently labeled and consistent in their style. So they're not you kind of know it's easy to keep it's easy to keep a simple workflow working with them. But man, like once you start, especially when it comes to games that use realistic assets, once you start really using like all these different asset packs that don't have a uniform style, or the big thing, do not have a uniform sense of formatting when it comes to like labeling textures or materials or stuff, that really starts to bloat your file size. It makes stuff harder to find. And that's just with one person. Actually, a really good video, a fantastic video. I've posted this before, but I will post it again. Is from Raymond Cripps on his game, Project Feline, where he talks about how he just hired one guy to do some art for him, and while there's oops, sorry. While there's some asterisks to that's kind of a good example of why you need to be very careful when working with stuff other people made as a solo dev, because that can very easily create big problems if you're not careful. So there, I put it in a video in the chat. It's very good. If you haven't subscribed to Raymond's channel already, his game looks really interesting, and his devlogs are good. His streams I quite enjoy too. He's got a good head on his shoulders, so I would recommend him. But yeah, so that's kind of something you need to watch out for. That's why I sort of am moving away from them, but I do still use them because they are very useful. But mainly, yeah, the ones I listed before are the ones I use. Yeah. If anyone's got any questions now, Lisa Station says, haha, OMG, you're so right. Ooh, thank you. I'll watch. Awesome. If no one else has a question, I have more. Are you managing your save system to keep track of events? So, Omega Game Framework does have a built-in save system that I would kind of recommend going and looking at the documentation for that. I guess I can pop back in for a minute and show that, I suppose. Let's see. Transition. To show a little bit of it. The easiest way... There's a lot to go over with the system and the Omega saving system. But the easiest way to do it, once this loads... Come on, baby. Save subsystem. Is... you grab the Omega save subsystem and you'll just do... Yeah, you can set a property of a type, and it'll save it to that name. You can get it and set it based on its property type. That's the easiest way. There's another way that's kind of built into that you can have where you can save stuff to and from a JSON file. In fact, let me pull up the party system to show you how that works. Because there's an interface. One second. Everything takes so long to load. So this is the... Oh, you've got to be kidding me. Okay, hold on. My GPU just crashed. And my stream may have also just crashed. So give me a second. Actually, no, I'm not going to... It's going to take too long to pull it back up. So I'll have to transition. I would recommend... Oh, my goodness. My face broke. Okay. I'm afraid to announce I have died. Well, I was about to wrap up anyway, but I'll try to get to these questions. Yeah, so yeah, I would recommend checking out the documentation. I believe there's enough documentation on the save subsystem on the Omega Game Framework plugin on GitHub for it. But yeah, you can look into using the JSON save interface, or it may just be the Omega save interface. That's a way you can get a JSON struct and save data to and from that. And that's how I use save and load a lot of the data for my game. It's just to and from JSON structs, and you can run a function that does it like at the start and end of every level. So honestly, if you want to download one of the Omega Game Framework templates, I think there's actually only one up right now. If you're using OGF, I will post these in the chat. I think there's only one template right now, but I believe that has some examples of saving and loading data in it. But like, yeah, that's one quick way. And so because the way it works in Omega is that you always have a save file active, and you just choose when you want to save and load from it, or you can create a new save file and start with that from at any time. And I used to like this game. Says, any advice for the building part of the game? Isn't I have mechanics down, scripting written, I just need to build it. Are you talking about like when you say you have mechanics down, scripting written? I guess kind of depends on what you mean. Are you already in engine building stuff? Because I think my main it's hard to give advice. I think that vague. I guess making sure your stuff is organized in a way that is easy to find and consistent is really important. Man, I'm sorry, that question is really vague. I'm not entirely sure how to say. If you're not using an engine, like you just, I would recommend either Unreal Engine if you're doing 3D or Godot if you're doing 2D. Oh, you have the game as an MVP. Any advice for building the part of the game? Just need to chain events together. Man, again, it's like I'd have to see the specific use case. If you're talking about like, so if all right, if you're talking about literally like you need a system in your game for triggering events to and from each other, Omega has this built in, but you can look up something called the Flow Graph plugin, which is a kind of a easy way to create flow events. You need to add some extra features for it to I think work smoothly in your game, but you can look at that. Sorry, I guess sorry. It's still hard to give advice. Beyond, keep playing your game and make sure you're having fun with it. If try to get it to a point where you would be, you as a gamer, because I'm assuming we all are. I think that's definitely something you want to avoid as a dev. Is in the process of developing games, you don't want to basically fall out of actually playing them so much that you lose touch with what is actually fun and what isn't. So I would say, just keep on playing your own game and making sure it's fun. Also, a trick I'll often use when I'm kind of lost on what to do is literally just start at the title screen and keep going through and seeing like at what point does the game break or feel unfinished. From literally the moment you boot up the title screen to starting the game to going on, and that can be an easy way of just starting and saying like, all right, when through that process, whenever I hit a wall or something that just straight up does not work, I'm not going to go any farther until I get that fixed. If it's a bug, if it's an unfinished model or a graphic, I'm not going any further until I get that fixed, because then I know the game is good up until that point at least. So I do that quite a bit. All right, I'm going to call it there. Thanks everyone for joining. Sorry, it says I used to like this game. Says that helps me out a lot, even if it doesn't feel like it, because that was what I needed to hear. I'm great. Great. I'm happy to hear that. I'm glad it was helpful. It was a bit rambly to me, but if it helped, then I'm really glad about that. But yeah, that's all for this time. Thanks for joining, gang. I will talk to you all later.